Greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another album ranking on a Tuesday. Weather outside is not too bad actually. It's a little bit warmer than it's been, so things are looking up. So today we're going to do a album ranking, and it's a viewer's request, and it's for a band called Lifesigns. Now, Lifesigns are a British progressive rock band that was first conceived by the lead singer and keyboard player John Young back in 2008. The one or two people have played in the band. Notably on the first album, the bass player was Nick Beggs, and various people have been in the band and helped on stuff. So Steve Hackett from Genesis has played on with them. Jacko Jakeski from King Crimson's been on here. Thies Van Leer from Focus has played, and Robin Bolt, has played with Howard Jones and more notably Fish. So they have released 3 albums, and they're all very good. Every one of them is pretty good. So we'll have a look at their albums now. So coming in at number 3 is their second album from 2017, and it is called Cardington. Well, Cardington is where the airships were stored, as you can see on the picture, and that is in Bedfordshire. So the lineup of the band are John Young on vocals and keyboards, Dave Bainbridge on guitars, John Paul on bass pedals and backing vocals, and we've got Martin Beadle on drums and percussion. Guests on this one are Menno Goots, who's played with Focus, of course, Nico Tozanev on guitar, Robin Bolt's on here, and backing vocals Chris Taylor. Now the first track is a 10-minute thing just called N. Now this starts off with a lovely bit of piano from John Young, and then Dave Bainbridge comes in with this lovely little bit of guitar work. This track is just modern day prog with the technology. The guitar work on here from Dave Bainbridge is super. It's just a real strong opening track. Up next is Voice in My Head. I love this track again. The bit in the middle is the best. The vocal is solid. It flows well. The drumming on here is super. Excellent track. Chasing Rainbows. It's the shortest track on the album. I love the little keyboard flashes on this. It's got some nice swells from John. The drumming timing on this is way out of kilter with the West, but Martin's is so good at it. It sounds perfect. It's a totally different timing. Excellent track. Then we have another long track, 9 minutes and 19 seconds of different. Interesting drum beat again from Martin. And you've got the bass on here from John Paul and the guitar from Dave Bainbridge, sort of intertwined through the whole track. Very good. Impossible. Now this is probably my least favourite track on here, but it does lack something. It sort of meanders a little bit. But the next track is called Touch, and I love the keyboards from John. It's got some lovely keyboard swells and little, what I call twiddly bits in there. The bass line from John Paul is really good and solid. And the last track is the title track, Cardington. Favourite track on here. It always starts off with that gentleness and nice little guitars. In comes the second phase with the echoey voices. The keyboard solo is fantastic, and then it sort of fades back into how it started. It's a wonderful track. I love this album. There is not a bad track on it, really. Impossible is probably the weakest track, so I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 8.3. Okay, coming in at number 2 is their third and most current album, released in 2021, and it's called Altitude. The lineup is again John Young. Sorry, folks. John Young, Dave Bainbridge, John Paul. Different drummer. We got Zoltan Krorsks on this, and Robin Boltz on here, again doing some acoustic guitar on track 3. Peter Knight's on violin, and Juliet Wolfe on cello on track 1, and Lindsay Ward does the backing vocals. First track is the title track. It's a 15-minute epic called Altitude. Really, really good track. It's like going on a musical journey here. One of my favourite bits of this track is the middle bit where you've got Peter Knight and Juliet Wolfe putting this string thing together. Got some really great drumming here from Zoltan. Terrific track. Dave Bainbridge's guitar work is wonderful on it as well. And then we have the second track is Gregorius. This track belongs to John Young and John Paul. Their real interaction on bass and keyboards, they sort of come in and out. They've got some really nice Hammond organ on this. It's a great vocal from John as well, and then towards the end you get this magnificent guitar solo from Dave Bainbridge. Terrific track. Up next is Ivory Tower. Love this track. This is where you get Robin Bolt's acoustic guitar. Fine musician. Seen him a few times. I've actually seen him with Howard Jones as well as Fish, of course. He's a fine guitarist and he really works. Another great strong vocal from John Young. And another interesting bass line from John Paul. Really works well. Then we have Shoreline. This is about the bass and the keyboards. Absolutely wonderful how they sort of slide the song along. Some great drumming and guitar work on it as well. It's a super track. Then we have Fortitude, a really nice track. It's 10 minutes long. It's got a really brilliant keyboards section in the middle. It's just one little lick after a lick from John on the keyboards. We got a really nice guitar piece from Dave as well, and it is just an absolute belter of a track. Then we have a track called Archangelisk. It's just a little keyboard bit from John, and then that goes into the best track on this album, The Last One Home. It's got some wonderful flute on here. The guitar solo from Dave is the best of the album, and this just builds up and extra layers are added in until you get this crescendo at the end. It's an absolutely top draw track. And then we get a little bit more wizardly keyboard from Altitude just to end the album. Great album. Solid top to bottom again. Not a bad track on this album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay then, coming in at number 1. It's their self-titled album from 2013, their debut. And playing on here we have got John Young on keyboards, lead vocals, Nick Beggs on bass, and Chapman Stick and Martin Beadle on the drums. Playing throughout the album, I'm not quite sure where because there's not much information. We've got Steve Hackett, Jacko Jakeskin, Robin Bolt, and on the flutes, Mr. Thies Van Leer from Focus. So the first track is called Lighthouse. Fantastic track. The keyboards on this are wonderful, and you get this really groovy little bass line from Nick Beggs. I do like the guitar work. I think there's some Steve Hackett on here. Definitely a bit of Robin Bolt thrown in there as well. It's just a great opening track. All 12 minutes and 51 seconds of great prog. The second track is called Telephone. Now this has got the killer bass line from Nick Beggs all the way through. He is such a very good bass player. I mean, he stood in for Marillion when Pete had his operation last year. He fits anywhere like a glove. He's got such a great work ethic. The drumming from Martin on this is terrific as well, but this track does belong to Nick Beggs. Absolutely amazing track. Fridge Full of Stars, one of the most dreamiest tracks on the album. It's got a wonderful vocal from John, the ambient keyboard sound, the guitar work is super on this. I think all three of them have put something on this track. It is just absolutely amazing. The fourth track, End of the World, the keyboard phases and the swirls are brilliant on this. Nice little bit of drumming on here as well. Nick Beggs' bass line is just terrific. Definitely got a Steve Hackett guitar solo on that. Just tell it a mile off. Terrific track. But my favourite track is the last one, and it's not just my favourite track on the album, it is my favourite track by Lifesigns, and it's called Carousel. There's everything I like about prog on here, and it encapsulates early prog sound, and that comes because of the flute bits from Thies. He's not just a great keyboard player, he's a wonderful flute player, and it really gives it that sort of early 70s feel. There's some outstanding drumming on this again, a groover bass, the guitar work again is so good. It takes you on a journey. It starts off gentle at the crescendo, then you got the gentleness at the end, but it's a wonderful vocal throughout this track from John Young. It's absolutely on the money. What a great track to end the album. This is a great album. When you get some big names in prog playing on here, you're always going to produce a great album. I mean, it's got one of the best bass players around in Nick Beggs. Absolutely spot on. Not a bad track on this. Quality from track 1 to track 5. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Okay, there we are. A great band. If you've not heard them, check them out. They're on YouTube and they're on Spotify. So go and check them out. They are a really good band. Okay, that's all for this one. I'll be back later with a retro ranking, and this week we're going to do one of the rock and roll legends, the man on the twinklies, and that is Little Richard. So join me for that later. Bye for now.